I want to welcome our esteemed guest today, which is Andrew and Lindsay Fenwick with Fenwick Vacation Rentals here in Canmore. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
So
Thanks for having us.
you are very welcome. We're really happy to have you on. We wanted to bring on you guys to answer some of the questions that we often get when people are considering purchasing a vacation rental or are already in the process of doing so, and they have a lot of questions that you guys are just much better equipped to answer. So that's sort of why we have established this session today. I'll give a really quick intro of Andrew and Lindsay. I thought it was really relevant that these two together running a vacation property management company, they're really well paired because they have different specialties. So Andrew has a specialty in marketing background, which would be great if you're renting out a property short term. You need to get the awareness out there. And Lindsay has a background in accounting and financial services. Between the two of these, you really have a pair that can run a vacation management company really well together.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of our sales pitch when you just gave right there. We always say that we make a bit of a perfect storm as far as property management team goes with that, the advertising, marketing, sales, and then, a little bit of, hobbyist in handyman stuff. So, which is pretty important as well.
Very
And
important.
and like you said, Lindsay's got the financial background, and she's a whiz at all sorts of processes and interior design, all sorts of different stuff.
But yeah, the renovation side of things and building a plan for some of the condos and trying to find aspects to the condos that will appeal to the market.
All right. Well, thank you for that. What we
Mhm.
want to ask you today are some of the questions that are very specific to the owning and operating side of a vacation rental. These are a lot of the questions we receive when we're working with clients, and we thought we'd just throw them out there for you. My first question is, what, in your opinion, are the highest and lowest seasons for rentals in the area?
Sure. High season is usually the beginning of June, maybe towards the end of May. We'll start seeing high season rates. June to all the way through to September. Sometimes, if we have a great momentum going, that can extend all the way to Thanksgiving weekend. It's a pretty hefty high season. Now we have our low seasons, usually late winter, early spring. So March, April can be a little spotty, and then November and beginning of December are slower. That being said, in Canmore, the slow seasons are people's regular season, other areas regular seasons. So
Right. I have heard that we don't really have a full low season anymore. So I'm hearing now that we have slightly slower seasons now, and we definitely have high seasons, but there's really not that complete non-existent season anymore.
Canmore is really unique for the market that feeds it. We're obviously an international tourist destination, which is amazing, and that really feeds the high season. But we also have domestic travelers that are coming during those off seasons, and we've got two major centers that are right outside of the area that love to come to the mountains. So Calgary and Edmonton, both million-plus population centers that love to vacation in their own backyard. So that really keeps the shoulder seasons quite potent.
Nice. Since we had the pandemic and we weren't having a lot of international visitors then, are we seeing a increase in international visitors now in this year?
Yes, there's definitely an increase in international visitors as well as many tourists from the United States.
The States, I'm going to guess, is our largest group of international visitors. Where else are they coming from?
The UK, Germany, so you get some of Europe in there for sure. We're starting to see some travelers again coming from China. So I would say
Other Asian
overall,
countries.
I would say overall, the international travel has really picked up now. Still a large proportion is coming from the US. And even in that, what would typically be our slower season, the ski season, we had a lot of people from the US coming over because their dollar is more valuable for a ski trip here.
It sure is. Yeah, I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Do you find the Americans are driving or flying, or a bit of both?
I would say both. Even when I'm having conversations with them on the phone, some are saying they're flying and some are saying they have a long drive and they're stopping at a few different places.
Okay, well, that's positive. We like to see the international visitors again, so that's great. What factors in a property would influence what rates can be charged?
So probably on the top side there would be, the amenities that it offers. Typically speaking, in the summertime, very popular are pools or hot tubs, or how many people that it sleeps, the size of the unit, the furnishings of the unit.
Whether it's pet friendly.
Yeah, pet friendly.
That's a big one for domestic travelers. More people are, having staycations, or if they want to bring their family pet along with them. So yeah, pet friendly is a big one as well.
Do you find a lot of the rentals are not pet friendly, so it's really beneficial to have it pet friendly?
We have probably about just a little over half that are pet friendly.
Okay.
During kind of the COVID time, we had kind of looked at some of the statistics. And so in Alberta, I think it was, about 70% of people were wanting to travel with their pet. So I do think, if it is pet friendly in some of those seasons that might be a bit quieter, you're more likely to maybe get that booking if you have a pet friendly accommodation.
Have you noticed a significant difference or any difference in the wear and tear in a unit if it's pet friendly?
No, the difference is minimal. The cleaning aspect is a little bit more difficult. It takes a little bit longer to get all, sometimes there can be a little more pet hair. If it's bad, then it's a matter of getting a carpet cleaner or what have you. But we rarely find that's the case. Our cleaners are pretty good at removing all the pet hair. So
that's really good to know, because I think that's a lot of people's big concern is, are the units getting damaged? So that's a good insight. What kind of occupancy can an owner expect in Canmore with a vacation rental?
The big data sites like AirDNA, what's the other?
Price Labs.
Price Lab.
Beyond Pricing.
Yeah, big data sites are saying the average is about 68% occupancy annually. We do have some data from pre-COVID. As far as Banff goes, the average was 72% in Banff proper pre-COVID. So around that 70% mark, give or take.
Yeah, do you have any stats that break it down between, winter and summer season?
We don't have any breakdown as far as seasonality goes offhand.
But I would say that in a well-managed property with marketing in the summer season, you should be 90% or higher with your occupancy.
Okay.
Certainly
For the high seasons.
Yes,
Right,
certainly for our company, for example, our average is around 80% occupancy, some being higher, some being slightly lower, depending on the property.
And that's year round?
That's year round, yeah.
So that's a 10% increase or even a 12% increase from the average using a professional property manager.
Yes.
Or at least using you. That's really good to know.
Of course, occupancy is a balance. It's you can have 100% occupancy by giving your unit away for $50 a night. You don't want that either, right? So it's a balance. It's a balance of occupancy versus the maximizing
those rates.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because you guys use these different software services that have algorithms that help you maximize the rates each night. Can you share a little more about that?
We use a type of software that allows us to put the inputs of where we feel that the pricing should be. So we can choose a minimum price, we can choose a baseline price, and we can choose a maximum price. The software is only as good as what you add into the software. So the software does have all this big data, it does have all these algorithms, but you do have all these settings. And so knowing the market of Canmore, knowing what something should be priced at, because sometimes it wants to price it for nothing, allows you to facilitate where the pricing should be at any given time. Also having it make corrections if the season tends to be slower than expected, or if the season tends to be better than expected, having prices increase.
So the software is useful only if you know how to use it very well.
That's right.
It's an aid more than a final solution per se.
Excellent,
But
excellent.
it does really help in pricing out your property.
Okay.
But it is important to know the market, because some of these softwares will want to, price out the summer at rates that are not anywhere near where rates should be.
Okay, like too high or too low?
Too low.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. Really good. So yeah, it's a guide, as you say. I think that makes
Right.
sense. Is there any concern about occupancy rates declining with so many newer properties being built?
We found that, I mean, historically, since we've been doing this, there's always been new properties coming online. Also, historically, I mean, aside from COVID, gross revenues and net payouts have also been consistently going up. There's definitely a marketing phenomenon where, the more hotels in an area there are, the better they all do. There's a synergy with marketing. It solidifies an area as a destination in travelers' minds. Additionally, on top of that, the town's making more money, more taxes off of all these buildings. So they're reinvesting that into infrastructure that makes Canmore an even more desirable destination. So we're actually seeing the continually increasing demand for Canmore, keeping up with the additional supply.
It is counterintuitive, but I see the exact same phenomena with new residential construction. The exact same thing happens. The more residential construction happening, the more it attracts new buyers. So, is there going to be a threshold where we can only have so many hotel condos and not enough visitors? It doesn't seem so. We have seen over decades more and more hotel condos coming and more and more and more visitors. So I think clearly we don't have enough inventory of vacation rentals in the high season to accommodate everyone who wants to come here. And as you said, we've seen increased occupancy in the off season too. So I think it is a little bit of a matter of build it and they will come.
Yeah.
So we don't have the crystal ball. We can't say for sure, but I think historically that's the pattern.
Yeah. And certainly in the summertime, if you've ever tried to search for a property to stay at in Canmore,
Yes.
your options are very, very limited. And I think that goes to show that there is still room for more.
Are the properties you manage listed on large platforms like Airbnb, et cetera, or do you use private listing platforms?
Our personal approach is to be found on as many marketing platforms as possible. Good marketing practices say, be found in as many channels as possible. So that's the approach we take. We advertise on large platforms like Airbnb and other listing sites. We advertise on social media. We have our own website, which generates almost, or depending on the year, it's 10 to 15% of bookings. So that's like having our own Airbnb.
The Alberta Tourism Levy and how taxes and levies are collected and remitted for properties you manage.
So the Alberta Tourism Levy is a 4% tax that is now anybody renting a place under 30 days is paying the 4% Alberta Tourism Levy. The way that it's remitted is that you sign up for an account with Alberta Revenue and you submit, you write in how many fees that you've collected every year, or sorry, how much revenue you've collected, and then they put out a number around the 4% mark of what you owe them, and then you obviously pay that amount.
Is that gross or net you're paying the levy on?
The gross amount.
Okay.
So this includes everything, even the cleaning fees that you're paying.
Okay.
If you're on Airbnb, Airbnb will now is supposed to be, not yet actually, but they're supposed to be collecting that amount for you because they've now started collecting the GST amount.
So is that a total of 9% you have to collect? 5% GST, 4% for the Alberta levy.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
We take care of all of those things for the people we work with.
Okay, so you will gather all the information for the levy as well as GST. And do you submit it, or do you just provide the reports so it's really easy for the owner to submit it?
We submit it, both of them. We have a few clients that prefer to submit their own GST. They remit their GST, we just collect it for them and then send it to them. But for all the rest of the people that we work with, we give them a nice report so that they're able to do their GST remittance at the end of the year and, you know, get hopefully some money back on their GST that they've paid.
That is a fantastic service. Nobody wants to do that, so. What is the average length of the stays in your property?
It's about 2.5 days. It's usually varies between 2.5 and 2.7.
Yeah, that's really good.
Pretty exact.
Longer stays in the off season, shorter stays in the high season?
Yes, I would say longer stays. Well, I don't know. We get long stays throughout all of the seasons, but typically summer you'll see people stay a bit longer.
There's more international travelers who are staying for a long period of time. Whereas, you know, the off seasons, it's a lot of weekend warriors, people just getting away for the weekend.
Yeah, I would say in the summer you have more people that are over 4 days and up to 3 weeks. And in the rest of the year, I'd say it's probably 7 days or under.
How far in advance are you finding people are booking?
I still believe that that is what is different from when it was COVID to now, is that we still don't have people booking really far in advance like they used to.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Before we used to get, you know, easily, you know, people would book a year, upwards of a year in advance. Now people, you know, they're worried about pandemic restrictions or what have you. You know, the long-term renters are closer to 6 months out now, as opposed to 12 months.
Okay. Can you say with any certainty that we are fully, like the tourism here in Canmore is fully recovered from the pandemic, or are we getting there?
I mean, I would say that there's definitely some differences from before to now, but last year was the best year that we'd ever had on record. And this year is actually above that year. I really have to say that, yes, we're out of that, but it looks different.
Okay, this is a good one. Do you find there's better occupancy in the properties that are within walking distance of downtown Canmore?
I would say that is an amenity in itself. Typically, resorts that are further away from downtown, those are the resorts that have the pools and the water slides and the hot tubs and that sort of thing. And then the ones that are closer to downtown don't necessarily have those amenities, but them being closer, you know, that's the amenity that they offer. So the two sort of offset each other.
Yeah, okay, that's good to know. So, you know, you just pick and choose whatever works best for you as an owner. Do you have any thoughts on the vacation rentals in Dead Man's Flats and Harvey Heights outside of the direct Canmore boundaries?
So there's definitely there's a premium price for properties in Canmore proper,
Right.
but there's also a premium on the revenue. So the revenue isn't the same for the outlying areas,
Right.
but it's also reflective of the property value. So
So the return on investment is probably fairly equal. You pay less to purchase it, you make a little less income, but the return on investment is similar.
exactly, I'd say that's pretty accurate statement. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And we don't manage a property in Harvey Heights, but I have to think that the closeness to Banff and the closeness to Canmore would be a helpful place to have a property.
All right, so if someone was considering buying a vacation rental, do you have any advice off the top of your head that you'd say, well, consider this?
You definitely want to make sure that either you're lining up the proper resources for taking care of your property, whether that's a professional management company or Alternatively, if you're doing it yourself, then you want to make sure that you have some good professional services lined up and cleaners.
And they expect for cleaning.
Cleaning is one of the biggest frustrations anybody has to deal with in town.
Yes.
For short-term rentals. It's whether you're doing it yourself or as a management company, it does pose a challenge because cleaners they're in very high demand. They can be challenging. So we've seen cleaning fees over the last few years continually rise. Right now, I'd say the average cleaning fee $150 for an average 2-bedroom.
Okay.
So per turnover. So
Okay.
yeah, it's not cheap.
No, and I know having them available when you need them available is problematic as well, because everybody needs them at the same time and you have about 2 hours for a turnover. Yeah, I can see that being a challenge. That actually leads me to ask you to share a little bit about how your company works with your cleaners, because your new office
Yeah.
has staff accom. So you actually provide accommodation for your staff, and you have full-time staff, so you don't have to go out and find cleaners. They work for you full-time.
Well, I appreciate that plug. That is definitely one of our. That is definitely one of our.
It's unique. It's it's a really it's valuable to have staff accommodation for your business, and not everybody has it, and it is quite unique.
We've had some challenges with cleaning contractors over the past decade or what have you. So we decided that we wanted better control over quality and just better control over the cleans. So we decided to bring cleaning in-house, and now we have introduced our own cleaning operation for our own clientele. So yeah, in our facility, we've got a commercial grade laundry operation, and we've got a centralized linen system. So there's less wastage on linens. The linens are cleaned to a commercial grade quality. And like you said, we've got staff accom at our facility, so we are able to have that reliability with staff.
Yeah, it's nice. I could move into there. It's
Yes.
pretty nice. But the other thing too is that if you lost a cleaner in the summertime, finding a new cleaner during that time, the rates would be so incredibly high to be able to try to find somebody, and it wouldn't always work out very well. Other things too, being missed during a clean, so the guest has no sofa bed linens or, items like that can make it very challenging.
I agree. I think that's one of the biggest struggles with people when they're going to be purchasing a short-term rental.
And then, of course, if you're operating from just a cleaning perspective, your objective is to get that place to a satisfactory level, maybe not an excellent level, as quickly as possible. So it's all about time management. So
and they don't have much choice. They probably have several units they need to do in a very short period of time. So yeah.
So they'll just fly through it sometimes. Marrying that with the guest services perspective, it's like, well, okay, yes, we have a time deadline, but we also have a quality requirement as well.
And just for anyone who's not 100% familiar with the Canmore economy, but it's it's hard to find cleaners because it's extraordinarily expensive to live in Canmore. Living in Canmore on a cleaner salary is challenging. So some of these cleaners are coming in from out of town, which could be an hour drive each way. So there's a lot of challenges to that people should just know about before they embark on this adventure. Let's talk about management fees. Can you give us a quick lowdown on how you charge and what owners can expect?
We've introduced a few different options now. So we have a tiered system. It goes anywhere from 15% all the way up to 35%. So do you want the low cost, and then do you want to tackle things like maintenance and other service items as they come up, or do you want that peace of mind knowing that absolutely everything's going to be taken care of? So that's our own personal range. I saw in the comments, they're like, well, what's the average in town? I mean, if you're with one of the rental pools, they can be upwards of 50-60%. We have seen a few individuals that run around charging 15% as well. So I think The lowest you'll see in town is 15, all the way up to 60%.
Yeah.
So I would say somewhere in the middle of that, in the mid-range, would get you probably your best value.
Yeah, and so our different plans include different items. So, for example, our 15% is kind of our most basic, where we're just sort of taking care of listings and we're charging out for maintenance and things like that. And then we move into, our kind of our second option, which we call our gold option. Maintenance is also included because we do typically find that a unit is costing about $5,000 a year in maintenance costs, with the average cost of about $100 if you call somebody in for maintenance, if they're available. And so we actually have maintenance staff that work with us. So we can make sure that we can get out and address an issue right away so that we don't have to take dollars away from having to move the guest elsewhere, because maybe they can't stay in that property. And then our third option, including some of the pre-deducted costs on credit card processing fees,
Maintenance, supplies.
Supplies. Thank
yeah.
you.
It includes everything.
But certainly if somebody's interested in learning more about the breakdown between our plans, we're more than happy to speak to them one-on-one, and they can reach out to us through our platform. But what we've done is we really wanted to have sort of an offering that would fit with everyone, something that might work for someone who's looking maybe for a more basic plan and still wants, to kind of see how things go maybe. And then someone who really wants, I don't want to have to worry about this at all. I just want you to take care of it, and just, a hands-off approach for them.
Somebody was asking which plans cover cleaning.
All of our plans actually have cleaning as a flow-through cost. So it's separated off. There's a cleaning fee that's charged to the guests, and then it's taken off the fees, and there's no commission charged on it whatsoever. So it's just a flow-through cost that the owners don't even have to worry about.
So for all of your plans, people know that the cleaning is covered, the listing of the property is covered, the reservation is covered, and
guest services, marketing, and then we also take care of the maintenance. But
there's a fee for it on the lower plans.
On the lower one, there's a subsidized fee, so a preferential fee, which is $45 an hour. You won't see anybody in town charging $45 an hour.
You will not.
Lindsay mentioned $100. That's not the cost of a call. That's the hourly rate that most handyman will charge. So yeah, usually hourly rates for non-professionals is about $100 an hour, and then for professional services, you can
More than that.
Yes.
But with you guys, it's $45 an hour.
That's correct.
On the lower plans, included on the higher plan.
Included on the mid-range and the higher end.
What do you think the pros and cons are of the different types of locations for both the new builds and the existing builds in town?
Well, I think that there's lots of builds in those areas already that have been built along the railway track. For example, we do manage some units in a building called Silver Creek Lodge, which is located very close to where Rundle Park will be.
Yes.
And so from that standpoint, I think it'll be exciting because it's going to be a refurbishment of that area. I think we're going to see a lot of revitalization. It's going to look very different than it does look today.
Properties that back to the tracks, how do guests respond to that?
The one that we have, it is not directly, so the windows don't face the tracks, it faces the other direction, and there's a small building. You don't hear the train at all in that particular location.
So if somebody was going to come to you and they're like, hey, I'm buying this and it's backing to the track, what are your thoughts?
Well, in some of our places that are close to large traffic areas, we always just add earplugs to the rooms.
Okay.
Just as an extra touch, if somebody's maybe a light sleeper. I would say we don't really hear many complaints from guests, and if they say that there is some noise, we'll usually write it in the listing too, that there could be a little bit of street noise in that area.
With just past clients of ours, we find the pattern seems to be that the tracks are a lot less of a problem than highway noise. There's something kind of soothing about the train and there so often where the highway noise is kind of constant. Truthfully, I find most of the buildings, when you're in the unit, you don't hear the highway noise. It's just on the outsides. But inside, I don't find, like just speaking to clients who have bought in various areas, you know, inside the units aren't a problem, and you just have to be aware of the outside noise.
Yes,
Yeah.
and in Canmore, in their building, you know, the building has to be built to a way that there's a certain decibel for sound that would be coming through to those people.
The town has requirements on decibel levels. And,
Right.
yeah.
And including, just for anyone who's not aware of it, but the train is only allowed to go so fast through town. There is a speed limit to keep the noise down. How many vacation rentals do you manage?
23.
We have capacity to take on double, even triple that amount. We keep a certain ratio for employees to properties to make sure that we're maintaining quality and keeping the attention to detail and service levels where they should be. So
Wonderful. I'm going to ask you the question that everybody's going to want to know, just generally. I know you can't answer this with any specificity. For a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, and a 3-bedroom in town, what can someone expect in income for their short-term rental?
Really varies from property to property, what those differences could be. You know, on one hand, you could have, you know, a 1-bedroom on a gross revenue side is probably around 70 to 90, around there. And a 2-bedroom, you could be looking at 80 to 150 in gross revenue. And on a 3-bedroom, you could be looking at about 125 to 250.
Some good general numbers.
yeah, those are some wide brush strokes for
Yeah.
sure. But it really does, you know, the resort that you're in, the unit in that resort, what floor it is, what mountain facing it is, how many people it sleeps, you know, how
many beds?
yeah, if it's pet friendly or if it's not pet friendly, what type of mountain view do you have? You know, there's so many factors that go into each and every unit that, you know, it is there is some fluctuation between unit to unit, resort to resort. You know, if you're about to make an offer on a place, or sorry, if one of your clients is about to make an offer on a place and they want to do, you know, some due diligence or what have you, we're happy to give some comparables to give them a more concrete idea of what their specific unit that they're looking at could do.
That's great. I think we've covered an awful lot of information. Of course, if anyone has any questions afterwards, you know, the Fenwick's contact information is in here, and you can also contact us at any time. Andrew, Lindsay, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.